Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier with not one, not two, but three Mike's Instant Movie Reviews into one little package of fun. So, the movies we'll be discussing tonight or today, depending on when you're watching this. If you're watching in live time, you're welcome to make a comment or a query. But the movie I saw today, Circus with the K, CIRKUS, a Bollywood film. Interesting film there. And then Babylon, and then finally Avatar, The Way of Water. Remember back when sequels used to have numbers in them? And I guess that's passe now. They just kind of give the movie, a new one, like a subtitle, or they just give it the same fucking title. It gets to be very frustrating if you're trying to figure out the chronology of some of these things. Well, let's start from the end and work our way to the beginning, so to speak. So the movie I saw today, Circus, as you may or may not know, I've been giving Bollywood films a chance lately. I saw one a few weeks ago that I really liked. And tonight, the theater actually had this afternoon, maybe 9 or 10 people in the theater, including myself, which for Jacksonville, Florida, I thought was pretty good. And as far as attendance wise, so what's this movie about? Well, it's kind of interesting. It is very interesting. First of all, I'm glad I got into the theater on time because we just got Nicole Kidman and her AMC promo. We didn't get a bunch of previews today, so the actual film started, just 2 or 3 minutes after the official start time. Normally with AMC theaters, you get a 20-minute buffer. Not today, folks. You better be in there ready to watch your movie. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind like Kirk Cameron. So we get into this thing and we learn that there's this orphanage and there's this doctor. And that's always a kind of foreboding way to beginning a movie, an orphanage and a doctor who, for some reason, is caught up in the nature versus nurture debate, although they didn't use that term. In this film, they use the term bloodlines. For wrestling fans, you'll get a kick out of that. But they use the term bloodline. Is it the bloodline or is it the way that people are raised that makes such a difference in people's lives, how they grow up and so forth? So that's his hypothesis, the doctor, is that it's actually more of a nurture. How people are raised is more important than their blood. In order to prove this, he takes two sets of orphan babies, male babies, twins, two sets of identical twin babies that are all lined up together, and he switches the pairs. So he takes, like a Chinese restaurant, takes one from column A and one from column B, mixes and matches the twins. So now he's basically taken two sets of identical twins and making them into two sets of fraternal twins, and then sending them off on their merry way to be adopted by loving families, which they both are. And I think in this movie, neither set of twins, boys, know that they're adopted. So they just think that they're fraternal twins, and then their adopted parents or their biological parents, and so on and so forth. And they both sets of twins are named after the doctor who runs the orphanage and like his henchman or his assistant or his colleague, which are the names are Roy and Joy. So now in this movie, we have three sets of characters with the names Roy and Joy, the two sets of twins, and then the two guys from the orphanage. They're both named after Roy and Joy. So that kind of sets up some intrigue and some, you can see the jokes are coming. And then basically, these four men grow up. One set of Roy and Joy are pretty interesting. They grow up in a circus. Their parents are circus leaders. And it's discovered one day that Roy actually saves his brother Joy from an electrical current. And it's discovered in that situation that Roy is immune to electricity. He's Mr. Electric. So he has no pain or no discomfort from holding mass amounts of electricity. And this, luckily enough, he's already in the circus, so he doesn't even have to join the circus. He just has to implement his gift of electricity into his life. His brother Joy doesn't seem to have any special talents, except he walks a tight wire, I think, once. But as we learn in this film, the Roy characters are much more prominent, and the Joy characters, the brothers named Joy, are kind of the sidekicks. So there's that story. Then you've got the other pair of Roy and Joy, and it's discovered that the other Roy, every time his biological twin brother is doing the electricity thing, the second Roy feels the currency, feels the pain, or feels the power of electricity. It doesn't kill him, but it kind of fucks up his life. And he gets this reputation. I mean, this kind of weirdo who every once in a while has these electric seizures out of nowhere, which was pretty interesting. Interesting setup, interesting premise. They didn't really show, in my opinion, how this could affect someone for the worse. Like, he kind of just brushes it off. Like, oh yeah, every once in a while I get electricity running through my body for no reason, but it's fine. And of course, meanwhile, the Dr. Roy knows all about this stuff because him and his colleague have been monitoring the two sets of boys their whole lives. Once again, it's like the two sets of twins don't realize that they've all been adopted, but for some reason they have this kind of, creepy uncle doctor guy who's hanging out. I guess I learned something today about the Indian culture, which is men of a certain age are all referred to as uncle, whether they're your uncle or not. It's just like a sign of respect. They call everybody uncle, which was interesting. There's pretty attractive women in this movie. I'll have to say that. There's a woman, a character that's like supposed to be, a famous pop singer. Bindu, I think, is her name. She's very pretty, very attractive. And then Mala, I believe the character is the non-circus Roy's wife. She wants to adopt a child. For some reason, they're not able to have their own children biologically. Hey, AJ Morris, how you doing? AJ Norris, nice to see you, buddy. And she wants to adopt a child, but he doesn't want to adopt a child because he thinks the bloodline is so important. So this is the second Roy, not realizing that he himself has been adopted. He is shitting on the idea of adopting a child himself, which of course we'll find out. All right, buddy, I'll get to that comment. My buddy AJ Norris has a topic here, which we will get to. I'll get to that next. Let me finish this portion of the show, the review, Michael AJ Norris. But see how much fun this is, folks. It's interactive. If you happen to catch me live, if you subscribe to Mike Messier, subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel, you can ask questions and we'll address them. But let me just finish this review first, Michael, and Merry Christmas to you, buddy. So this movie is a lot of fun. I guess what I'm thinking is, and yes, we will get to AVATOR. That's coming up soon too, buddy. So I'll be getting there. What's going on with this movie, CIRKUS? Well, the premise of the two brothers mixed and matched is a lot of fun. How are they going to pull this off, cinematically, creatively? I'm looking forward to figuring that out. But it's kind of like, for me, it's like that proverb, and maybe it's because I'm trying to catch up with the subtitles. You know what I mean? There was also a very interesting, the Bindu character's father is kind of like a Elton John type, kind of a flamboyant guy. And he had some funny lines, like, and also the doctor and other assorted characters will directly address the camera throughout this film. So they break the fourth wall quite a bit. And they do the thing with Bollywood films where they break into song every once in a while. So I feel like this movie is probably more what people think about when they think about Bollywood movies than the last one I saw that I liked a whole lot. But in this movie, it's kind of that expression I use a lot, folks, and please don't be offended, but 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. It's just like they've got a lot of stuff going on here. The circus, Roy and Joy's parents get killed in a fucking accident, and that's kind of washed over. The characters are good, but none of them seem to have they have problems, but they don't seem like they're dealing with their problems or even acknowledging them. I guess the thing with not wanting to adopt the kid kind of, but the Roy and Joy from the circus, their parents have been killed in a fucking horrible accident, and you don't really see them shedding a tear and so forth. So, I mean, I did find that the movie, in some regards, kind of, went over things too quickly. But I guess that's part of the fun. And like I said, 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. Ultimately, the payoff though was pretty emotional when the two Roys and the two Joys finally get together, and it's like, oh my goodness! After like there's mafia groups, there's all types of crazy shit going on, and then it's like, holy fuck, what's going on here? What are you saying here, buddy? Morgan looks like ripoff of Chucky. Did oh, I want to see Morgan, buddy. Ooh, hot take. Wow, buddy, you're getting on that. That doesn't come out till January 6th. Megan, I'll talk about those. I've seen that preview about it 20 times in the last 6 months, so I will talk about that movie. So let's move on. Batista. So basically, this is actually film related. This is a good topic. We're going off a little sidebar. We'll come back to our regularly scheduled program in a second of Avatar review. Dave Batista, who's got a new movie, Knock on the Door. I've seen that preview many times now. You have to make a decision. It's a horrible decision. But if you don't, the world will come to an end. So that's my Dave Batista, Michael AJ. Thanks, pal. I actually had the biggie bag last night, believe it or not. I did go to Wendy's late last night, and I had the double stack, which I enjoy, and I had the 4-piece chicken nuggets, and I had the fries, which were in pretty good shape, and I had a Sprite for the first time in over a decade. I just don't like Sprite very much. It makes me belch. But I had one, and I drank about half of it, then I threw it out the fucking window, the Sprite, but I did eat the whole burger. Going back to Dave Batista, someone online, some person said that Batista, of all the big wrestlers turned movie stars, which basically the hit list includes The Rock, John Cena, Dave Batista. If you go back in time, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Jesse Ventura. Tell me if I'm missing anybody there, AJ. Edge was in a Highlander film. There's been other wrestlers that have had little spots here and there. King Kong Bundy back in the day used to do Married with Children quite a bit. In fact, that's who the Bundys were named after. Rainn Wilson, director. Well, he was the guy from he was on 6 Feet Under in The Office, Dwight. But what did Rainn Wilson direct, buddy? Oh, that was Rainn Wilson's the guy that said the quote that Batista's the best of these wrestler turn actors. Interesting for Rainn Wilson to have a hot take. I don't know. I mean, to me, The Rock, I thought The Rock was very good in Standing Tall, the remake of Standing Tall that was almost 20 years ago with Johnny Knoxville and so forth. I don't know. I mean, I've seen The Rock. He's a good actor, but to me, here's the thing with The Rock. When he's like babyface Rock, whether it's in wrestling or whether it's just that it's like he's trying too hard to be this, irreverent, fucking lovable guy. That's just how I feel. Like, I kind of just don't buy the act anymore. You know what I mean? As far as John Cena goes, I did not see, what's that fucking show he was on? Peacemaker. Never saw it. Don't care to. I'm not a big Cena guy. I mean, people, the greatest babyface in pro wrestling history. Bull Captain shit. Because John Cena was not popular as a babyface. Getting booed for 10 years does not make you a success. He was a placeholder champion. I don't like his thing either. China John. Okay. So it doesn't do much for me. No offense. But what else? And so I don't know. I mean, I'm not really going to argue. Do I agree with Batista being the best? Let's see this Knock on the Door movie. And then I'll get back to you with that opinion. I mean, if you want to ask me my favorites, I mean, I did like Jungle Cruise with The Rock last, 2 summers ago. Johnny Gargano is my favorite, but does he do acting, buddy? I'm not sure if he does. Maybe he does. Okay, what else? John Morrison, or Johnny Nitro, has done some films with some friends of mine. You can watch the And Action podcast. John Morrison's name's come up a few times. He's worked with pals of mine. Not to drop names, but I just fucking did. What else? Let's get to this Avatar 2. What did I think? I saw it last night. Okay, I fucked myself in the ass. Not literally. Did you see Glass? Now, you know what? I didn't like the first one, to be honest with you. I didn't see Glass Onion, the Knives Out thing. I saw like a midnight show. I don't know, folks. I guess I'm just some things British I like, but some things British I don't. I think the thing that I like British the most was like the first Austin Powers movie. Like I like the parody of British people more than I like actual British stuff. I don't know. It just was too stuffy for me, in a word. The first one, so I didn't bother to see the second one. Sorry, pal. As far as this Avatar 2 thing goes, when the movie came out, basically 2 weeks ago on Thursday, I went to the theater. The actual screen was botched. I was very upset. They botched the fucking. Now my light's going out. Look at that. They botched the screen. Everything was a wreck, and I didn't get to see the movie. I got a couple of free passes. My movie I want to see, The Old Way. That Interesting West movies are not made often like the past. That's true, buddy. The last great Western might have been, almost 30 years ago at this point. Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven. I can't think if there's been a great Western since. I guess the Wyatt Earp movie, and there was a movie about killing that bastard Jesse James. I haven't seen that, but I think that was pretty good. But I mean, look into that. The killing of that outlaw Jesse James by the coward, whatever the fuck, and Unforgiven. If you haven't seen it, I don't know. I mean, my dad used to like westerns. Roy Rogers, first celebrity that I ever saw in person, by the way. Roy Rogers. It's not to trigger anybody. See what I did? All right. So next point. What do we say next? Avatar 2. I didn't get to see it 2 weeks ago. I want to be the first to see it. I've been hearing all these shitty reviews. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't like it. Other people didn't like it. I go to see it. And first off, you have to say, I'm going to give 4 hours of myself to this fucking movie. Like, you have to make a commitment. It's like a relationship. You're like, I got to commit 4 hours of my life to this fucking film. And people do it. So I mean, and there I am in the D box, which means the chair's supposed to rock and roll. Well, guess the fuck what? I didn't buy a 3D ticket. I bought a screening that had D box, but no fucking 3D. And I'm the asshole that goes in the theater, gives the guy, the ticket guy, my fucking phone, and he beeps me. And then I'm just standing there, and I said, hey, can I have the 3D glasses? And the poor kid probably knows that I'm not seeing a 3D version of the film, but he gave me the glasses anyway. So I'm walking into the fucking movie theater all high and mighty, thinking I'm going to put these fucking 3D glasses on my head last night. But then I'm kind of looking around, and all the other assholes in the theater don't have 3D glasses. And I'm like, uh-oh, the bottom falls out of my stomach. And then I realized what a cruel twist of fate. I was in the theater that was not in 3D. I was in a non-3D screening, nice image and everything, but I wanted to see the fucking movie in 3D. And then it's like, what do I do? Do I leave? Do I fucking try to get my money back? What can I do? And I just sat there, and I just wasn't up for the fucking war of trying to figure things out. Like, always trying to make things the best, always trying to solve problems. I wasn't up for it. I just became a suffering mark like the rest of you. And I fucking watched the goddamn movie for the first time in non-3D. And of course, that whole fucking time I'm thinking, wow, I bet this is better in 3D. You know what I mean? So I just suffered. I suffered stoically. But the movie was good. I did like the movie. I mean, when I wasn't concerned about the 3D stuff, I was able to enjoy the film. I probably will go see it fucking again and commit another 4 hours of my fucking life to this thing and try to get all the bells and whistles, the rocking seat, the fucking 3D, the massage chair, whatever the fuck. I did see the Whitney Houston, buddy. Wow. Hot take. Nobody wants to play Bobby Brown. I don't know. But then, fucking watch this movie, and I liked it. I mean, yes, it's long. I mean, that's what most people are critical about, criticizing. It's long. Yeah, we know. It's a long movie, but I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the water thing. There's a lot of, I don't know if anyone's done a video on YouTube about this or not, but what's the deal with water movies these days? It's like 30 years ago, Kevin Costner got dissected for making Waterworld, but he has the last laugh. You had Pandora, the fucking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which had all these water themes, and now this, and next is the Little Mermaid remake. So it's like water, water, water. What's going on here? I mean, a conspiracy theorist would say it's some type of preemptive programming. Oh, here we go. Andrew Stavikin. I loved Avatar 2. I watched it in 3D, IMAX 3D. Go for IMAX next time, Michael. Thank you for the heads up, because I do tend to go towards Dolby Digital. What they don't have in the IMAX theaters around here, Andrew, is they don't have the recliner seats in the IMAX theater, which always pisses me off, because I want everything. I want the recliner seats. I want the IMAX. I want the 3D. I want the rocking chair. But just because of you, buddy, I will go see it, because IMAX is an option for me. IMAX 3D. And then you've got to check your fucking phone apps, folks. Twitter is a mess now. Women in porn adding you, and Elon Musk wants to give it to the beast, MySpace guy. The MySpace guy, Mr. Beast. If you're talking about Mr. Beast, the YouTube guy, I've got some thoughts on him. Not particularly good, not particularly bad. I'm just not a fan. So let's talk about this. I guess I'll talk about Mr. Beast. I find him boring. I find Logan Paul boring. I find Jared Paul boring. I'm not saying their content is boring. I'm just saying them personally, like their presentation or whatever the fuck, their personalities bore me. I find Mr. Beast is a boring guy, and I think that the Paul brothers are boring guys. I will give Logan Paul credit. Very good pro wrestler, great wrestler in only 3 matches, but I just on the few views I've given those guys bore the fuck out of me. And yes, they're making millions and I'm not, so they get the last laugh on that, but I just find them to be boring. What can I tell you? So Avatar 2, I did enjoy it, Andrew. I enjoyed it a lot, but I did feel a little malnourished because I didn't see it in the 3D or IMAX 3D. I did like the rocking chair. And the theater I was in was pretty good. I mean, this is the week between Christmas and New Year's, so a lot of the kids are out and about. Kids are prowling the neighborhood looking for things to do. Like Tyson Fury. I actually, okay, I'll get a lot of takes here today, AJ North. So let's get into Babylon. This is the 3rd movie of my, because I haven't done one of these in a while. Oh boy. Pat checking in. Glass Onion is excellent. Craig deserves an Oscar. I did like him in that final James Bond movie he did, the Spectre type of thing, which I saw in a reprisal here at this very theater. I didn't see it initially. I know a lot of people. My friend David Graziano is a big Daniel Craig guy. I guess I'm not as big. I respect Daniel Craig. Here's a little metaphor. Once upon a time, I went to a nice seafood restaurant in Maine, and I guess I'm used to kind of the Red Lobster seafood restaurants, or just New England, ye old English fish and chips in Woonsocket. I'm used to like fried fish and chips being like just fries. So me and my buddy go into this Maine restaurant, and it's a seafood place, and they had all these fucking dishes, and it was like fresh ocean seafood, like fresh from the fucking ocean that day, right? So nothing was fried. It was all fresh. Most of it was cold. And I was like, okay, I respect this food, but I don't like it. I'm not going to lie to myself and say, oh, this fresh ocean seafood is, oh, this clam's still alive or whatever the fuck. To me, it was not tasting well. It did not taste good, okay? And that's kind of how I see Daniel Craig. Yes, I respect him. He's the authentic guy, but he's not one of my favorites. What can I say? Speaking of 3D, why in the hell was Titanic put in that format? Did you see it in that format? If not, good for you. I didn't see, if you're talking about the 1997 Kate Winslet Titanic, I didn't know that they ever did that in 3D. That's very exciting. I had a bad experience when I saw Titanic in the theater all those years ago, because these assholes were talking in the theater. I went with a friend of mine, Sarah Cavero. She was always finger banging herself to Leonardo DiCaprio. We go to the movie theater, and there's people talking the whole time, making fun of Jack, on the fucking raft, and he's dying. Maybe I will do a top 10 list, Andrew. Thanks, buddy. I'll have to put some time into it because I saw a lot of fucking movies this year, as usual. As a matter of fact, I'm 2 visits away from being a Cinemark Premium Rewards member. So that's another thing. You go to these movies all the time, you get more and more rewards. What else, gentlemen? What else? So, Babylon. Should we get to Babylon? First of all, I get it. Margot Robbie, one of the hottest women ever. What a face. I mean, looks very much like Jamie Lee Presley from 15 years ago. I mean, she looks pretty much like a replicant of Jamie Lee Presley, but for whatever reason, Margot Robbie's just had a better career than Jamie Lee Presley ever did. You know what I mean? And Margot is just, I believe she's Australian. She got her first big break in The Wolf of Wall Street and all these movies. And she plays the Joker's thing, the Birds of Prey. You know what I'm talking about. God, what's that name? Very sexy, kind of the basis of Alexa Bliss's wrestling character, the Birds of Prey thing. But what can I say about it? This movie, it's interesting. Babylon's an interesting case study. Once again, it's long, but it's kind of one of these all-expansive, epic fucking movies. First off, they start off the movie. Yes, thank you, buddy. Thanks, Andrew. Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, beautiful face, etc. But she and this dude at the beginning of the movie, I couldn't remember what I've seen him in before. And they're welcoming us to the fucking movie and thanking us for coming. And it's like, okay, you're pulling a trick from the fucking Tom Cruise Maverick bag, because that's what Tom Cruise and Maverick did last summer. And that's what other movies have done a little bit before and after. They have the lead actor or the director give you a little personalized welcome thing, which softens your palate for the movie. So they try to pull this. I think they're thinking that their movie is going to be as successful as Maverick. It's obviously not. The movie has all these different storylines. It takes place between the 1920s and the 1950s. I guess we have 4 major characters. We've got Brad Pitt as kind of this Hollywood movie star / producer. We've got Margot Robbie as, just kind of a party girl who becomes a big star, but she can't quite kick her party girl habits, meaning drugs. And we've got the other guy. I don't know his fucking name. I don't want to say Mexican. I don't want to ethnicize him, if that's the term, but perhaps Mexican, perhaps not. But he is a guy who is just wanting to. He's an elephant tamer at the beginning of the film, and he wants to get into the pictures, and so eventually he does, and he becomes a top player in the film industry. And this is all happening against the backdrop of silent movies fading out into talking movies taking over the business. Pretty interesting. So it's a movie about making movies. Now, people have mixed feelings about that. A good friend of mine hates movies about making movies. I say, sure, you can hate it, but a lot of people like that. And this is kind of a subtle, nuanced thing. And I don't know if the majority of people in the theaters are going to get this. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But the whole nuance of this movie is these characters are all kind of living through a time of change. The change is the presentation of film. It's going from a silent medium to a talking medium. So certain actors, in this case, the Margot Robbie character, are really struggling with this transition. And then there's also a racism storyline. There's this great jazz musician, black gentleman, African American. He plays, I believe, the trumpet. And see, that's me playing the trumpet. And basically, he's put into a film. He becomes a star of a movie. And I believe it's the same Mexican producer is kind of forced to ask him to use a very cinematic scene. He hands him the fucking little thing of coal, and he's got to darken his face. He's got to put blackface on because the lighting is screwing up and it's making the band look like an interracial band. It's kind of seemed a little contrived, but I mean, I wasn't there in that time period. But basically, the idea is that the lights on the movie set are making him appear white and the rest of his band appear black. And that's not going to play in the South, is the premise of this scene. So it's pretty interesting and it's sad. And it's, and so he has this moral struggle, and the Mexican guy gives him a hard time. Like, all these men are not going to get paid. This is the movies, blah, blah, blah. So he charcoals up and he does the scene, and you feel so guilty. You have the guilt of just watching this unfold. And then you go on to another scene. So there was all these different storylines: the Brad Pitt, the trumpet player, the Margot Robbie, the Mexican producer, and the Mexican producer and Margot Robbie have a romance, and that gets interesting. And they end up in this underground club, and there's midgets and wrestlers and fighting and all types of things going on, and mafia, and or the gangs. It's once again 14 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. It's so much stuff is going on in this movie, and I can pick out and dissect like certain things. It kind of had a feel of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Quentin Tarantino a couple of years ago. Like, I think the only way, if you want to see Babylon, you got to see it on a big screen. I would even say that the theater I saw it in, all the best screens were taken by Avatar and maybe Puss in Boots. And so I kind of got like a shoddy screen. Like, you go to these movies long enough, you know which auditoriums have better screens. And the one that I saw Babylon on wasn't one of the better screens. So there you go. So I don't know how I feel about Babylon. I mean, I thought it was interesting. It's always nice to see Margot Robbie on the screen for 3 hours, but I don't know. For television, I've been kind of watching this show called The Morning Show. It's about 3 or 4 years old, but I've really been hooked on that. Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston are the top producers. Steve Carell is in that. What else? So, Glass Onion. You want to talk about Tyson Fury for a moment? I saw his fight with Klitschko when he won the title in live time back in 2015. I think it was February of 2015. It was such a boring fight. And then at the end of it, Klitschko sang a song to his wife. Like, he serenaded his wife after the fucking fight. And I was like, that's more entertaining than the fight. And Tyson Fury is an entertaining guy. I did love his third victory fight over Deontay Wilder. I saw the last two Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fights in live time. I enjoyed them. And they were both very good fights. The third one was a great fight. The second one stunk, that Tyson Fury won. And I went to his most recent title defense, Tyson Fury. And then he said he was retiring and he was going to fight a mixed martial arts UFC guy in some type of hybrid fight. But that appears to be canceled, and now he's just going back to regular boxing. So whenever these boxers or wrestlers or any of these assholes say that they're retiring, I'm like, okay, you're not retiring. Well, I just don't believe you. I mean, you're a liar, okay? Because if there's enough money, you'll fight again, okay? So in any event, but Tyson Fury, I think he's okay. He was actually named after Mike Tyson. He is a big fella. I mean, how tall is he? 7 feet tall? So I don't know. I mean, you got to give the guy credit. He's undefeated. He has the one draw on his record with Deontay, but he's never been beaten. This is Tyson Fury. He's been knocked down, but he's gotten up. I don't really have hate in my heart for Tyson Fury. I don't really like this singing stuff. Like what I think it was Tyson Fury and Drew McIntyre sang to the audience after McIntyre lost to Roman Reigns. I just thought that was castrating to the Drew McIntyre wrestler to be sung to by another man. And the people inform me that, it's just your American fucking biases and everything. Men can sing to each other in public without it being weird. Well, okay, fine. It's just me. I'm living in the past, okay? When you go around singing to other dudes, I'm just fucking nuts, okay? So in any event, I just thought that Tyson Fury castrated the character of Drew McIntyre right there in front of the world, and I didn't appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, that's about it. This has been a very fun, interactive chat. There's Monday Night Football, whatever the fuck night it is. I guess it's Wednesday, isn't it? What the fuck day is it? I don't even know. It's Wednesday, it's Thursday. What is it? I guess it's just Wednesday. So things are always exciting, and that's it, folks. So subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel as we pull to a screeching halt of 2022, and we move on with our lives. So there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Thanks, Aaron, Andrew. God. Take care, Andrew. Thanks, buddy.